So today on the podcast, we have George-Anthony Laquis III. He's the founder and managing director of WhiteRock Property Management. He's a director at Flags TC International, director of Complete Storage Solutions. And let me tell you, this fella's doing some explosive things in the market. So, George, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on.
Excited to talk.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, what's going on. Tell me about WhiteRock, the start, the up,
So, WhiteRock Property Management, I started it just about 2.5 years ago. Well, even before that, I'll get into how I got into that and everything. My family business is construction, and my father's doing that for the last 20, 30 years, TC. So I grew up around seeing construction and building and everything like that. I went to school, I went to University of Miami, left Trinidad. I was in Miami for 5 years. For a while, I didn't want to come back. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
And then when I graduated, I stayed up there and I said, let me see what I could do up here because I was enjoying it and the lifestyle is better quality of life.
For sure.
And then I got my real estate license and then I was thinking, because even while I was in school, I always wanted to do my own thing and never wanted to work for somebody, and that was never my path. I didn't really even take on school too much.
Right.
I don't know if you're a fella who, I was one of those people, I was never that interested in school.
Well,
So I tried to start a few side hustles and do things. Even while I was in school, my first year, me and Luke, my cousin, started selling the vapes.
right.
Before vapes even came to Trinidad, we found a supply in Miami. This is when Jules now came out and it was getting big in the US. So we started a distribution company.
That's mad.
Brought the vapes to Trinidad. Ended up getting in a few gas stations, stores, everything like that. That was I think 2019, that summer. Ended up getting in about 9 stores was the most we're in at one point. Then we had a driver, and while we were in school, we were still running that. I was sending down vapes from Miami and we were distributing and selling in stores.
That's mad.
Then COVID hit. I want to get the timeline right.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit, and instead of bringing it through and that whole lawsuit went on with Jewel.
Right.
So instead of bringing it from the US and me sending it from Miami, we had to bring it from China.
Jeez.
And then they had back orders and everything like that. And we're bringing Stigs at that point, a few different brands.
Got a little pivot there then.
Yeah, and a few other people in Trinidad started doing it. So we had some competition. Then it was COVID, and I ended up coming back here, and I was just stuck in Trinidad doing school online. Everything was closed.
Yeah.
It was hard to bring from China, and you had to do. It reached a point where to bring it into the country, you had to be a little sketchy.
Yeah, it must have been
So
impossible.
we just ended up saying at that point, whatever, and we kind of got out of it.
Right.
Then went back to school for my last year after COVID. And then I was always interested in real estate and construction. And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, maybe I'll go back and work in the family business and do construction. But I didn't really want to. I wanted to do my own thing too.
Yeah.
And not really answer to anyone. Even if it's a family business, you're still answering to people. And I always saw my path for myself as starting my own thing and doing my own thing.
Right.
So I got my real estate license in Florida. And then I was up there and kind of now started getting into that. Then started thinking about property management.
Right.
Did a few property management courses, and then my father started talking to me because a few years before that, we expanded from just doing construction to then doing our own developments, buying some properties, and they started doing developments. And they had someone who was running the property management side of it. Then around that same time, that person got a job at a company away and left. So they needed someone to do the property management.
Right.
So for me, it was a decision. If I stay up there and try and do something, or I come back and have the advantage of having a portfolio of properties to start with, being able to learn from my father and my family and their experience, and having that advantage of,
that's incredible.
instead of starting from scratch, I get some properties to start with and work with, and then start my company here. So I was interested, and I said that's the plan. Then came back, basically got right into it. The first few months, or maybe the first 6 months to a year, was basically just fixing and setting up and fixing the existing structure of all the properties and how it was, because they grew kind of fast with those, so it was just staff around and different staff here on this property, different staff there, and then using the shared resources of the company, but nothing was organized properly, and it was kind of just all over the place. They had no budgets in place. They had, because it was just these completed projects that were there now and needed to run, and some workers on it there and there, and decisions all over the place. So the first year was, and it was the best way it could have gone looking back too, because by me doing that and cleaning up everything and implementing systems and processes and learning, it gave me the experience and the knowledge too to go to a property, get a property from someone now and be able to set it up from how they have it, put the best systems and structure in place, and then run it. So that's basically how that happened.
That's incredible. So you took like the existing structure, it's already sort of there, but
it didn't really have any structure. It was just my father kind of making decisions, people calling him, things all over the place, signing checks, fixing things, getting tenants, doing leases, but it was disorganized. So that's why he kind of pushed me to and said, well, come back and do this, and then start the company, and you could now get other business. And
that's brilliant.
So
tell me about that transition, like going from, so yes, you started, you probably had a good portfolio, managing your father's and his businesses, properties. Now tell me about the transition from, going to managing the personal properties to now, you're expanding, you guys are expanding at a rapid rate. I'm seeing every time I check LinkedIn, you guys have a new property, right? So tell me about that transition.
So right now it's 482 units in total under management, and then we're onboarding another in the next 2 weeks. In the next month, 3 small apartment complexes for someone with like 6 2-bedroom apartments in each of them. So that's 18 units. 10 apartments for someone, and another 5 properties, I think, like single family homes and apartments for someone else. So that's another around 30 properties.
That's incredible.
But it's plenty, and the difference with managing your own properties and managing properties for people is now you're working for people, they're your clients, and you might know in this industry is a lot of unhappy people versus happy people. No one looks at all the things that, because I'm not telling them everything that I'm doing every day and everything that I'm fixing and all the good things. The only time that you really speak with them is when something happens, or when they call you and something happens, and all this is the negative. Because it's people's, so like we do vacation properties, residential, long-term, commercial, and homeowners association, which is something we kind of just got into and onboarded an apartment complex of 192 apartments. So that's 192 owners. Guests coming into the compound every day. You're managing security, cleaners, groundsmen, landscaping, and 192 different personalities, and you have a board that you answer to. So you went into a lot of different moving parts.
You started your business so you won't have a boss, and now you have hundreds of bosses.
Well, that's something I think about. My whole plan was to never have a boss and answer to anyone. Now there's a million different people you have to deal with. But I enjoy it, and taking a property and seeing it improve is, I enjoy doing that.
That's incredible.
But yeah, so I never planned to get into all these different things, but when I went in and we had one commercial property and then the rest were residential long term.
Right.
And how I got into short term is because we had a few properties that were empty and we couldn't get long-term rentals and they were fully furnished and everything. Right. So I thought, well, let's try them on Airbnb, and then I ended up getting into that, then ended up putting more of our properties on Airbnb and have our own website and on booking.com and everything. So we manage those. And we're putting another one, so that would be 10 in total in the next month.
Right.
So we have those, and there's a whole different side to business because it's like a hotel you're running. You're dealing with people who are paying you to stay in your place short term.
Everything done for them.
Expect good service. They want to come and the beds are made, it's getting clean. It's like running a hotel. And you have homeowners association, which is completely different. You have long-term rentals, which isn't as much as more finding a good tenant. Putting the lease in place and just making sure you're collecting rent and the place is run good and maintenance is done good and you do inspections and everything like that. And then it's the same thing for commercial properties. Difference with commercial properties is that it's someone's business. They come, they lock up and they go home. But when you're running a residential compound, it's people's home. Yeah. So everyone has an opinion on everything in the common area. Everyone reaches home, they see a speck on the floor, they come banging on the management office.
Probably zoom in on a photo.
The hardest part is really just people management, because in theory, property management isn't that complicated. Yeah. It's the same system and structure, just scaled to how much ever properties. You have these positions and you have this amount of properties, and as you grow the position just expand, you have management over them, and they're doing the same things. They're fixing things, they're inspecting, they're cleaning, they're doing maintenance, but people is the difficult part of the business.
Yeah, that's always
because you're dealing with staff from the bottom all the way up, and then you're dealing with people and stakeholders who are owners, board members, residents, guests.
Right. So how do you structure all that? Like, that's a lot of moving parts. That's a lot of people, not even on the client side, but even you're having to manage so many people, right? How are you structuring this to work for you and growing at such an explosive rate at the same time?
I mean, that's the difficult part, and that's where I'm setting up things now for my focus to be more. Right. Like yesterday, I did. So a lot of my days now are just meetings, and then when I have free time, I'm just trying to focus on the business development side of it and the internal systems and everything like that. And I'm trying to separate myself from the small day-to-day things and put the right people in place. Right. But it's just all about structure and making sure that everybody knows their role, knows who's responsible for what in the different parts of the business, and then everyone working together to make everything efficient and as quick as possible and done as best as possible. The motto of the companies, we have it big on the wall in the office. We do better so you could live better. So
that's a nice
that's
motto.
The goal, like that. But now I would say most of my job is just HR at this point and business development. So I deal with all the owners and clients. There would be assigned a property manager who deals with them for the day-to-day things, but the reporting side of it and the higher level communication, I would still deal with all owners because I rather do that, and then onboarding new clients and doing the proposals for them, because every proposal is different. You have to look at a property and see the best way to maximize income, and then put together the plan, pitch the proposal to the client, and then onboarding. So those things I would deal with, and then the HR side of it, all the interviews, building out the job descriptions, building out the structure, all the internal processes. Yesterday, I hired they started Monday, I interviewed a new admin person who's basically just going to be assisting me in going around to different divisions and parts of the company, working with each person
Right.
and building out everything that they do. So I could now create basically a big company handbook. So if
Right.
I get another property, another residential facility, I have everything there. So when I
Everything they
put
have to
new
do.
management in place, they know everything. But when I get that now from that person, I'm gonna have to look at it and
So fine
see the
tune it.
best way to do it, make it better, then
So you're essentially
implement
designing the
that.
machine.
So yeah,
That's incredible.
because I realize to scale, you can't be involved in everything, and then you can't, and you want to have people with. You can't always have all the answers, but you want to have people who could be trained as they
Right.
come in. They know exactly what they need to do, and if they need the answers, they have it there because it's the same system in each property, and then just improve that over time.
That's incredible.
Because to get hundreds or thousands of units, I
Nice.
can't take a call to answer a question every time they
Every
have
question.
one. So
Your whole day would be consumed by
I'm
just
gonna
that
see
alone.
how that goes. I think
Right.
it should be good. Then that person now too would report to me what
Right.
they think, and
Yeah.
by spending a week or 2 weeks with a manager at a certain property, they would now know, all right, well, this is what was basically just write out everything, report it to me, write out exactly what they do every time something happens, and I build it out.
So you have to have some seriously good people on your team then. How?
Yeah, well,
Tell me about that. Tell me about how you finding great people. How you
it's
finding?
hard.
I know that.
So far, I either have people who last, and I told the girl yesterday in the interview, because there was a few rounds of interviews, and then I had 2 people yesterday, and I went with one of them, but I told both of them when they were asking about the company culture and everything, I told them, so far, since the company started, every employee is either here and happy and does good, or they lasted 2 weeks and they didn't.
Right.
So I have about 30. It's gonna be about, well, we have another. So by the end of this year, it would probably be about 50 or 60 employees,
Jesus.
because we have another residential complex, 5 houses and 30 rooms and something that we're doing, and we're gonna rent it out to the oil industry and everything like that. So that's another big project. So it'd be maybe 50 or 60 employees by the end of the year. But I told them, you either last a week or you love it and you fit in and you last forever.
Right. That's incredible. So they love it or they hate it.
Yeah.
Stay or go.
Because it's one of those things that you have to enjoy it, and you're dealing with people, but it all comes from management. So finding the lower level staff are easier to replace and easier to train. So it's finding the right management who could now know this person's working or they're not working, or because I had a few bad managers, and then you realize everything is a mess. Then when I looked at it closely, I realized, well, the management isn't doing their job properly to make sure everything is going right. So when you find the right manager, and everything stems from that, and you're always going to replace maintenance men and groundsmen and plumbers and electricians, but
Well, at least you have your manager.
the manager needs to make sure everything is getting done properly, and either someone's doing their job or they're not doing it.
Right. So essentially, the defining role in your organization is just great managers. You need to hire them, keep them
But
happy.
that's really every business. I think it all comes down to management.
Absolutely.
But it's a lot of different moving parts.
Yeah. So tell me about the short-term rental space. I find that's interesting because you talked, about the oil and gas sector. You're doing some, short-term rentals for them, but like you mentioned before, that in itself is a whole business running almost like a hotel-style business, right?
Yeah.
So how are you managing that as well as the bigger commercial properties and whatnot? Or tell me even about...
I'm more focused on, because the bigger properties and the long-term rentals are more standardized in just you're doing your job and you have the same tenants there and you just run it.
Right.
And then you look at the reporting, you do the budgeting, but not much changes.
Right.
But in the short-term rentals, it's more like running a hotel. So that's the part right now that I'm most involved in, and I want to grow because it's a lot more profitable. We have a residential compound with 16 townhouses, and 2 of them are on doing short-term rentals, and the rest are long-term tenants. And the rent that we now have 1 vacant, and we're renting it out for $3,500 US, which is about 28,000 TT.
Right.
And on a good month, that same unit in short-term rentals is doing 5,000-6,000 US.
Jesus, so it's double.
Because the markups are a lot higher because you're charging a day rate, and it's so I'm trying to get more into that, but obviously not every property is the right fit.
Yeah.
So with our properties, I kind of maxed out what I want to do with those. So I'm trying to get more clients now, and I want to go to Tobago.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure that out because there's all short-term rentals,
that would be
vacation
perfect.
houses that people have, and when they're not using it, they rent it out.
Right.
So I want to go there, and then eventually I want to go up the Caribbean and go to Barbados, and because those are all tourism industries, and a big market is short-term rentals.
Yeah.
But that's a lot more tricky because every day is a new. We have 2-night minimums, so every other day it could be is cleaning team has to go in after cleaning 3 hours, like a hotel. 11 o'clock is check out, 3 p.m. is check in. Everything has to be perfect. If someone comes and they feel like the place isn't clean, you're gonna get a bad review. If something matches up or breaks or the toilet isn't working while they're there, and you don't have someone go there in 15 minutes, they're gonna leave you a bad review.
Right.
And then people don't realize a lot of people have ridiculous requests too, so they're not looking at it like they're just renting a place to live in. Some people are difficult and they don't like this mattress, or they want cotton sheets instead of this type of sheet. So it's trying to, because it's nicer places too. I don't take on any places. I have a minimum fee for those, so I don't take on any places that isn't gonna make sense.
Right. So it's
for
higher
the
level.
owner and it could I don't know if depreciate is the right word, but you have to do more maintenance and upkeep with short-term rentals versus long-term rentals because there's new people coming in and out, and people come with big groups, and they do whatever when they're there. So
a lot more wear and tear. In a
so you
sense.
want to be making more money on the property to do that, and then you obviously want to. I don't want to have on my website any property. I want it to be a higher.
Higher caliber.
So that way you get better tenants who could afford it, and you also make more money, and it makes more sense because I can't provide certain services if I'm not making enough money on that property. It wouldn't justify even the cleaning expense, the 24-hour guest relations manager who would go there at 2 a.m. if something happens to make sure it gets sorted out. So to justify all of that, you need properties that are making enough money. So
see that whole additional infrastructure tied to it in a sense. So
every part of the business has different. It's like different divisions almost with different teams. And
that's incredible.
And then even the pricing and everything. The next person I want to find is someone to kind of run that more. And I just got someone who's going to be doing all the bookings and communication. So when people want to book, they want answering the call, they want messaging them back,
so
setting them up and everything, making sure up to when they get checked in, even while they're there answering them. Then if they need to send the property manager, and so I'm trying to set up all of that because I have enough now where it makes sense, and then I'm now setting up a mobile cleaning team who would just be going around and doing cleaning for guests and everything like that.
That's incredible. So on the cleaning side, would you ever branch out to offer cleaning services? Like you would clean your own properties and the people you manage, right? But would you clean other people's properties?
Eventually, because now I'm thinking, now that's kind of what I want to do.
Right.
Because I have a few cleaners that were just cleaning the Airbnbs, and then for all of our long-term rentals, if a tenant leaves and we need to get it ready for a new tenant or get it ready to market, I would just call a cleaning company and they would come and clean. But we have enough now that for me to have a full-time cleaning team who just goes around to different properties. So that's what I'm setting up now, and then eventually I'll start trying to get business from that if someone needs hair cleaned or there. And
that's incredible. That's a whole other vertical for the business.
So, but I don't want to do too much and then the quality takes a hit because I'm trying to do everything in a million different places. So I'm trying to set it up properly and not rush it so that everything is in place and it could run properly.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to sort of like you say, take on too much and then let everything else take a hit, and then it gets kind of chaotic. But you're doing well, man. You're growing and you're doing all the right things. That's incredible. How are you dealing with that? How are you dealing with like the stress? How are you dealing with the I'm sure you have a serious workload, right? Like even when I message you, it's like you're always busy, you're always on the go, right? So tell me, how you managing that?
It's hard to. I always think. I don't know if this ever happens to you, like I'll be lying on my bed and then I'll think of a whole plan and be like, all right, let me start scheduling out my days like this. In the morning, I'll put do not disturb on my office and I'll do this work for 2 hours and I'll set meetings and I'm telling myself that feel as but it doesn't go like that. You wake up, then things just start and you have meetings and you go in all different directions. But
especially in this industry.
That's just how it goes. I feel like when you're starting a business, and then later on, when it's more established and you're big enough and you have the right people in place, you could free up your time more. But I have to be involved in everything, so it's just how it is. Or some days I'm leaving the office at 12 o'clock. So
no, for sure. I tried that same thing. Same thing you're talking about. Like sit down on a Sunday, plan your week, plan your day ahead. Bro, literally Monday hits Monday morning, literally, 7 a.m. comes, you're getting calls, like it's crazy.
Sunday night you're there saying, all right, in the morning I'll wake up, I'll meditate.
It never works.
You think of all those things, but it's not how it goes.
It's good in theory.
But I enjoy it.
Well, you have to enjoy it to be able to.
That's just what it is to run a business, I feel like. It's different from working a job, and when you go home, you have nothing to do. It's a full-time job. And even when I say later on, when you're more, I feel like no matter what, even my father, when I watch him with his business, you always have to be involved to run your business, and you always have to be running it.
I think that's probably that's a common misconception. I hear a lot of people talking like, I want to start a business because I want to just kick my feet back and let everyone deal with it. But it's not the truth, right? I mean, you know that.
Even me before, I used to think, well, and you see it on the internet, you start a business and in 3 years you get rich and then you're doing whatever you want.
It doesn't
10
work like
times
that.
harder than anything else, and it never ends. Maybe some industries and some things, I don't know if you get lucky but...
I swear. You look on Instagram or YouTube and you would think that's the case.
Even I thought, all right, well, I'll worked out the numbers, I'll get a few properties, and if I get this much properties, I'll have managers, they'll just run themselves, and I'll make this much every month. And
so you went and got Excel rich, and then in real life, you see what was on. That was good, bro. So tell me, I want to touch on your family a bit, because, I did a little Google search, right? Just preparing for the meeting and whatnot. And, obviously, Trinidad's a small place. We know about, you, your family. But, you're doing incredible things, explosive growth. You come from a line of businessmen as well, right? You mentioned your dad's in construction. He has properties as well. You're George-Anthony III, so there's the second, which is your father. And the first, he's a doctor. He has a company in Trinidad as well. Tell me about, how they've shaped your outlook on life and business. How have they set you up on the path to succeed?
So I think probably why I naturally went down this path is probably because of that and how I was raised and seen a family of entrepreneurs. And my grandfather, he was a doctor, but he started 101 businesses in his life. moved away, moved back. No, just saying.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
moved away, moved back, was all over the place doing different businesses. Went to the top, went back to the bottom again, went to the top again.
Right.
My father started a few different businesses. His first business was a casino and a restaurant, the first sports bar and casino in Trinidad. And he got out of that. So, and that was even when I was growing up. He was coming home at 5 in the morning from a casino, and he got out of that, then started from scratch again. I don't know how he got into construction. He just had the idea, then started that and built it. So growing up, I saw
Sort of what it takes.
I saw all of that, and naturally, I just feel like when I was growing up, I just always knew and thought I'm not gonna. That's why I never even took school that serious.
Right.
I just did it because you do it to do it.
You check it off the list.
And looking back, I could have taken it more serious and would have probably got more out of it. But I never once in my life thought, well, I need to get this internship so I could put it on my resume. And even when I didn't know what I was going to do, I'd always thought I'm going to do something, and just it ended up being property management.
Right. So you just had that sort of
So even when we got into the vapes, I was thinking, all right, well, this is it. I'll start a distribution company and bring down more products. And then when I was in school, I tried to do 2 drop shipping stores and never made a sale.
Right. Yeah, those things, they'll catch you. I tried all that myself. You know,
but that was always my thinking. It was always, I wanted to do something, and my mind I can't, I'm just not programmed to think. I want to go to my full potential. I can't sit there and think, well, let me do this and that's enough.
Yeah.
So
you're always active, always thinking of what's next.
And that's why I enjoy doing it too. And because if I have a moment where I'm not doing something, even though I just work for however long, I still feel like, all right, well, I have more I could be doing, and my mind is running. And so it's just naturally how I am, I guess.
That in itself will drive you mad. When you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Mind's just rolling. Jeez. So, So you must have, I mean, you're getting a lot of success, but with that, you must have had some failures along the way, right? You mentioned some things that they were successes, but, you know, they failed, or you mentioned the drop shipping, the little failures you had there. How you deal with that? Because a big issue a lot of people in business or people who start businesses have is, you know, you're working so hard, you're working all these times, and a lot of times you'll fail, right? You have to fail a lot of times to succeed. How you deal with that and then still keep going forward and keep pushing?
I mean, I don't really focus too much on the failures.
Right.
And I don't really let it get to me. If something happens, I just think, oh, well, it had a better way of doing it. And then I move on from it.
Right. So you're not even thinking about that.
Because my mind is just programmed to believe, even if something seems impossible, my mind just thinks I could do it. And then when I realize I couldn't do it, or something goes wrong, I don't really let it get to me. And then I just think, all right, well, this is the next thing, or this is how I need to do it. And even some properties, because at first, when I didn't know what I was doing as much, I just wanted to get properties, and I'll take anyone's call. I got myself into a few tricky situations just trying to take properties from people that didn't make sense, and it wasted time, and it didn't end up working out. So then I learned from it, I need to be selective with the clients that I take on and the properties. And so it's the only way to learn as you go, because I still have plenty I don't know, but
so just try.
What I always tell my staff and what I tell clients, and it's something that my grandfather told me, and he said he always told people this as a doctor. He said, instead of trying to make it seem like you know everything to someone, tell them, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out. So when you have that mindset of, so even with people, I say, I don't know the solution, but I'm going to find out, because it's possible. There's a way for anything. So I have that mindset, and I tell my staff to tell people that too, and it makes a big difference with customers and people when you're honest with them and you tell them, well, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find out. But then you have to find out and you have to do it, and that's kind of the mindset that I adapted and learned from him. And when you have that, you could,
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So you're just constantly looking for solving the problem, essentially.
yeah.
That's
It's always
incredible.
problem solving. But if you look at every problem you can't look at every problem as a failure. It's just another way to do it, or
a new opportunity.
fix what you were doing, and then you get better from it.
Right. That's incredible.
And I rather try something and fail and say, well, I didn't do it, because then you never know.
Yeah, for sure.
So even like the drop shipping and all those things and whatever, I did it, and then I thought, well, no, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at it like I failed.
Yeah. At least now you know it's closure in a sense.
I didn't look at it like less because I failed and I couldn't do it. I just thought, no, that's not for me. Because how I think, if I really wanted to do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it that bad.
Right.
Because anyone could do anything they want to do, just how bad you want to do it. If you wanted to become a doctor now, you tell me you can't do it if you really wanted to do it, and you could dedicate your life to it. So it's not that you can't do it, you just didn't want to do it that bad.
That's a good way to look at it, because I struggle with that. I know many people struggle with that, right? You trying so many things, but yeah, it's
like losing weight or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, I can't, I tried and I can't. No, you just didn't want to.
Right.
If you wanted to, you would have done it.
You don't want it bad enough.
Because when people want something bad enough, they make sure and get it.
Yeah. That's incredible. So tell me, what excites you? What gets you up in the morning? What are you pushing towards?
I don't know yet,
Right.
to be honest.
You're just going for what's next. The next opportunity.
That's something I think about. What's the end goal and what is it that I really want? I don't know yet.
Right. So you're searching for that still.
On a broad level, I want to build something and build something that lasts and build something great. But I don't really know what that actually means yet. Or what the real reason is. But it's more just what wakes me up is just purpose and fulfilling my purpose.
And right now, I guess that's building your company.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Bro.
Yeah, so.
Well, you're doing some good things. You're really doing some great things. What are you seeing in the market? How is Trinidad looking to you? How is up the islands looking to you?
Trinidad right now is a little scary.
Right.
When I think about it too much. Just with everything, the economy, crime, government, and I don't want to, that's why even now, because before I used to think, well, I'll conquer Trinidad and then I'll move on to somewhere else, but now kind of changing my thinking to I should get myself established, have a good base for my company, or head office, or whatever you want to call it, get enough business to be established, and then start expanding to other places instead of trying to do everything and conquer Trinidad, and this is my place.
Right.
Get my foot in the door, get the experience, get my organization established, and then start expanding to other places. Because like I said earlier, it's the same system. A property is a property, and whatever sector of that you're in, and I'm kind of in all right now.
Right.
I go to other markets, and then I explore what works there, what I want to do, and expand like that.
Right.
But it's not that simple, because you need a team there, you need a good manager there, so that's the hard part, and I can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
So something that I'm thinking about, and I got this idea from a few people who did it, is you basically give equity to someone in another country who knows what they're doing. And they run that, so now they have a stake and they are part owner of the company, and they're that country manager, so you could now rely on someone who is a owner instead of just hiring a manager and trust them on a salary, and you're trusting them to run and grow your business there, and it doesn't make a difference to them. So I'm trying to kind of plan out that and think about the best way to do it. And
that's a brilliant strategy. I was reading Carl Williams, the construction company in Barbados. So he was talking in his story about when he started working with Hess Oil Company, right? And the fella came down, he told him this idea, they're building this massive, refinery. And he said essentially the fella gave him 40% of the whole thing. But he said, look, you're going to build it. It's on you to get it done. Like, he's not paying any money up front. He's giving him 40% once it's done. And then literally went on, he completed the project completely. And now he's He has 40% of a massive refinery in, I think it was St. Lucia or one of those. I can't remember where it was, but it's a good strategy, and I'm sure you'll do well with that.
Yeah, just find the right people.
That's the problem, right? Like, who you're going to give that to?
Yeah.
It can't just be anyone. You really need to.
Yeah, you don't want to give up part of your business to someone who's not going to work as hard as you work and have the vision that you have and everything like that. So that's the tricky part. But that's something that I'm thinking about, and I think that's probably the best way to do it, unless I get to a level where I could afford to pay huge salaries and hire great people and send them all over. But I don't know.
Yeah. It take time to get to there.
Yeah.
What you do in your free time? How you recharge?
Well, most days I travel a decent amount.
Right.
Most days I just work and go to the gym. Come out either in the morning as I wake up, or in the afternoon or night, go to the gym and that's it, then get back up and work. But my schedule is kind of all over the place. I'm either working or I'm in the gym or I'm doing something, but I don't really do much. Or sometimes I'll relax, I'll do whatever, I'll go down the islands, but most of the time is that, or I'm traveling, and then when I travel, I'll get like a reset, and once if I'm out of the country, once a few days passes or a week or whatever, I'm ready to go back and work. I feel like, all right, this was enough. Then I'm good for a few months, and then I'm back in it. But once I'm here and I'm in Trinidad, I don't really think about anything else.
Right. So
and people tell me too, you work too much and whatever, but I don't really prefer to do anything else, I guess.
Yeah. Like you said before, that's your purpose, right? So that's good.
But it doesn't feel like work. I'm doing... Today I'm doing this with you. Earlier I was in meetings. I'm talking to people. I'm doing things. I'm always on the go. So I don't really feel like I'm just working there. I'm at a desk. And
there's always something
I need
new.
a break. I don't really feel like I need a break that often. So
So work is your hobby in a sense.
Yeah,
as a recharges you.
Work or the gym or...
Yeah, for sure. Oh, you've been doing well in the gym. I see you're looking good, man. Bro, I need to get a solid gym schedule, that's for sure.
It's hard.
Especially when, like you say, schedule's
once I could get a good 4 days a weekend.
Yeah, that's what you need.
I feel good,
Right. That's good. What kind of advice you have for young people? You're a young man in business. You're doing well. You're on the path. Give some advice to some young fellas. Maybe they're younger than you, graduating university, whatever it may be.
I mean...
It feels weird,
I
giving
don't know
advice.
if I have good advice, but
yeah.
Just find what you want to do and do it to the best of your ability. And if you do something, don't feel like you can't get into something else, and keep going on whatever you do. Do it to the best of your ability, and you'll be successful in it.
Right. That's good. That's all you need.
Yeah. So.
You're on the path.
Yeah.
That was good.
I looked into Canada at one point, but they have a lot of laws with property management.
Really?
Yeah. In terms of rent, well, short-term rentals is what I looked into, because I had opportunity at one point for a few people, for someone from Trinidad who had a few properties there, and then they were saying we'll manage it and do Airbnbs, and that could kind of be a foot in the door there, because that's something that I could do remote. All I need to start with a short-term rental is a maintenance man who I have on call, and a cleaner.
Right.
A cleaner who's synced, who's in my software, and they see when my bookings are, and they know when to go, and whatever. And then a maintenance man who I could call if something happens. They go, they check it, and then I know who I need to call to do the work. So that's something I could get into anywhere technically, because all communication could be done from anywhere.
Right.
So I looked into it, but
what was
they
the
have there's some licenses. I forgot exactly what it is. And then also in Toronto, they have laws now where a owner is only allowed one property. That could be a short-term rental, and it needs to be their primary residence.
Really?
And they need to get a license to do it.
In Toronto?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But
So if you own a property, it has to be your primary residence and you need a license. So that way they're regulating it. So basically, you could rent out your house on Airbnb, but when you're not there.
right.
And it could only be for a maximum of 6 months for the year.
Right.
Don't quote me on it, but it's
Yeah,
something
no, I
like
understand.
that. So, and then if you have a few properties and you want to do short-term rentals, it's another license or something like that. So
That's interesting.
it was a little tricky. That's what they're doing in New York now too. They're trying to do something where they want to basically cut the short-term rentals in half to try and regulate the price of rent more, since the price is so high. They want to bring it down. So by putting more long-term rentals available on the market, people would have to drop their rent because there'll be 100,000 more apartments available to rent.
Yeah. So like New York, Canada has that, and Toronto specifically, they have a huge issue with supply of properties, and that's, like you say, raising the rents,
the price is so high.
Yeah, and like the average Canadian really can't afford to live right now, so they're probably looking for any which way
That's
to
what
add.
they want to do by having less short-term rentals. Owners are forced to get a long-term rental, and the more supply they have, is the less the price would be. So I think that's what New York wants to do. A few places in the US, and I want to get into Miami at some point. I'm always looking, but I'm trying to buy, but it's a competitive market, and if there's a good deal and you don't act on it in a day, it's going to be gone.
Right.
So good deals don't last, and if something's there for a while, chances are it's not a good deal, or else they have a million people looking every day.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find, because Florida now is in the US is really where you want to own real estate, in my opinion. So I'm always looking, but I want to, at some point, I could reach there with my company and manage. But right now I want to invest in real estate, then just manage it myself and own property there and find a good deal where the income pays the mortgage, and I'd even not necessarily to make money, just to more break even and have an asset that appreciates and pays off itself. And
so you kind of repeat the same structure in a sense, like you'd buy a couple of properties, manage them yourself, and then maybe take on more.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Because again, to the management side of it there, especially not being there is hard and it's competitive. There are a lot of companies doing it. So
and the biggest
for me
ones.
to expand to there, I'll have to be there.
Yeah. No, for sure, you really have to drive that market. Have you looked outside of Miami or outside of Florida as a whole?
Yeah, I always look.
Right.
I'm just saying Florida too because it's a good economy.
Right.
And it's also close to Trinidad.
Right.
So that's like the first place I'm thinking to get my foot in the door there. But they have a lot of places that that I always look for deals, but logistically it's hard, and then it's hard to make a decision and buy something when you don't even see it.
Right.
I see something in Colorado, it's hard to say, let me buy this.
Yeah. And you have to
You
get
want
out
to see it and then take 2 flights and go there, and it might not even be a good property when you end up going and seeing it. So
you really need the time.
yeah.
And time is something we don't have.
Yeah, but once you get into the US, in my opinion, then you're in a different league now. And
So you think, would you go up the Caribbean first, or you would go to the US first? Because you mentioned going up the Caribbean.
probably the Caribbean, because it's easier and it's close and it's not as much competition.
Right.
And you would know too, in the Caribbean, there's a few good people who do things and everyone else is on. It's like Trinidad, there's a standard. The standard is on the same as the US.
Right.
It's like a Caribbean standard of like subpar, mediocre quality. So even when I look in Barbados, there's a few good companies that do short-term rentals and facilities management, but I'm not that intimidated to go there and feel like I could.
Right. Feel like you could compete there in a sense.
Yeah.
Now the standard.
I feel like it's easier to compete. Not that it would be easy, but
well, easy relative.
it's a small country and it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So how you find it competing in a, like you say, a small country? That's a good point there, right? How?
It's a lot of knowing people and reputation,
Right.
more than anything, because even being in the industry and when you give out work to people and when properties need to do work, and your first instinct is always to, when you're talking about things, oh, well, I know this person that does this, and that's who you're going to go with.
Right.
Even though you technically, the policies, you get 3 quotes and whatever, it's hard to even do that in Trinidad, because you don't even, half the time, you don't even know 3 good people who do it, and people take long, and so a lot of the time you just go with someone you heard of that's good, or someone that you know doing it, or someone else says, I know this person. So it's a lot of knowing people and reputation. I was talking to James, your brother, about Engage.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize you all were engaged.
Really?
But even in a few properties I'm in now, and people they were using before and whatever, and you all are doing some work, engaged. They were we were in a room in a meeting, and we were waiting for something, and everyone said, well, it was like 10 people. Everyone says, does anyone know anyone from Engage? No one knew. Then
Serious?
I asked someone and I realized, oh, that's you all. But something like that, everyone just thought, no one even knew a different company to go with.
Right.
They were just saying Engage just because
that's the option.
It's a big company and that's the option everyone knows, and you're just going to go with them.
Right.
So it's a lot of reputation in Trinidad, and just knowing people, and that's how you get the opportunities too, for me to, on bigger properties and things like that, to even do tenders and everything is just from someone knowing of you and saying we'll do a tender.
Right. Oh, that's good. Have you done any work with Engage? Oh, you mentioned them.
Not me personally, but properties and our company, and
What you hear overall in the market? They're doing well. They offer good service. So
yeah, I think so. It seems like a big company to me.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything bad.
Right. That's good. Now we have a good team there, and they're pushing some hard work. So I'm glad the name's getting out there. That's proper. And James has been doing a big push. He's been
I know that. When I talked to him, and he's in Guyana too, and what do you all think of Guyana? Everyone is talking about Guyana now.
Guyana's interesting, and it's kind of the hot new thing.
Yeah.
Similar to Trinidad, it's like kind of who you know, and obviously who you know gets your foot in the door. We have to offer the level of service, right?
Yeah.
So Guyana's good. It's the hot thing, right? There's a lot of opportunity there. It's pretty much.
I don't know if they have anything there for me right now, because there's more building and construction wise they do, but and then from the real estate side, people always say, well, I get offered deals and buy this piece of land in Guyana and it's next to a highway and this and that, but I don't know. See, it seems a little sketchy for me. Not sketchy, but you just don't know when you're not there and you're to spend money in a place, and especially on real estate. Yeah. But they say it's like Trinidad 30 years ago before the oil boom, so
that's the thing about Guyana. It's empty, right? I mean, obviously they have some things. They have a little infrastructure there, but when you go there, it's just flat land. The opportunity is endless. The infrastructure is not really there yet, but they're putting some serious work into the infrastructure. So it's exciting. Like Guyana really is an exciting place.
Have some people building hotels and
there's so much
hotels are
development
fully
going on.
booked out too by companies who may not even have people there. They just have the hotels on a contract booked out for when they send people, and
because they
have
need
plenty of money to make there.
And that's the thing that, like I mentioned, it's empty, right? Like when we first went there, we couldn't really find a hotel, right? Any hotel they had was booked up already, and we started having to go to,
find a house.
Find a house, rent out the house. Now they're having some, a lot of the Trinidadian companies are going over, and a few of the Guyanese companies are, putting up some developments, and they're building the infrastructure, but for the demand that they have, there's a lot to be done. So it's an exciting place. I think you will find some opportunities there once you start. Yeah,
for sure. But like what a lot of companies are doing is you would send a owner or you would send a partner, and they would be back and forth and overseeing what's going on there. Yeah. I don't really have that.
Right.
It's just me. Then my father is just my father. So to spend time there is hard unless you find the right partner there who runs it. But then they say it's hard to find someone that you trust. Yeah. Because you have to be 50-50 with them. And
That's realization.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are lucky in that sense, right? Like James is a big push there, and he spends a lot of time there. So you really do need that kind of feet on the ground. Like Trinidad, they don't want to just see someone working for you. They want to see you. They want to know that you're invested in the place. So it's exciting, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I don't have time now. So
That's the thing is time. Yeah. Time is always the constraint.
Yeah, I have a million ideas, but
it's like how you find the time to do all those million ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
and as it good thing about having brothers too, which you would notice.
Yeah. No, you have that
partners.
Yeah. And
I think about I like being by myself, but then also I think a lot too. If I had a brother or if I had a partner, I would
for sure.
ease up a lot of stuff on me and I could focus more on what I do best and then have someone run the next part of the business and everything.
Yeah.
Which I could find someone at some point, but then it's hard to give away equity to someone you don't know is going to match what you're doing and bring to the table.
No, for sure. But I think you'd be surprised. Like, you have a good network. You know a lot of people. There's some people you could trust out there, man.
Yeah.
And
at some point when I have enough properties, maybe in the next couple of years, I would maybe bring on a sort of COO,
right,
and probably give them equity.
Right.
Someone who runs the operations a lot more. I could be more the CEO standpoint and do certain things, and I have that person like a partner dealing with certain things, and I give them equity to start and then see how it goes. And so something I would do eventually when I need it. So like high level management.
Right.
Who's running? If I was in a different country or whatever, I have high level management who have equity on.
You know, I saw another strategy for that. Like, obviously, equity is one thing you can give as well, right? But you could even do work on
a profit share or something.
Yeah, like a profit share. And I've seen, like, there's a company in the States, a private equity firm called Tiny. And their CEO talks a lot about that, how he doesn't offer equity because it's always in the background, you're thinking about it, but it doesn't really drive your productivity, right? So what he does is he'll offer a decent or competitive base, like just sort of, market base, and then a high kicker. So if the company does well, this is the X amount of profit share.
Yeah, because equity too, only when you're making a certain amount of money and someone's actually seeing dividends, they actually see the money.
Exactly.
Or when they retire and they get their shares bought back or whatever it is. So but really you're not actually seeing it. But when you're doing a profit share, you actually see the money every month. Or something else I thought about was doing a profit share on new business that they bring in. So if I have a manager or a salesperson or however I do it, they bring on this new property. For as long as I have that contract, they get a % of that, like a commission or something every month. Something I'm trying to set up now with different real estate agencies is if a real estate agent brings me a property owner to manage their property, I give that real estate agent a commission on the management contract.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, because they're the best people really to market for me.
They're
the ones dealing with and people trust their agents, and a lot of the time people don't look at the need or the value in a property management company, and they think, well, I have my real estate agents, I pay them a one-time commission, they get my place rented, but then it's a hassle on the real estate agents too, because even one of them I was talking to last week, she said for 2 days she was a project manager trying to do construction, get a place ready for a new tenant, and they're not getting paid for that. So for them it's a benefit too, because now it's a partnership where I'm managing this property, and every time it's vacant, you're the real estate agent, so you make your commission, and we work together. And while it has a tenant, we're the management company, and if you brought us that client, you get a commission every month of our management fee.
That's brilliant. And then once it goes to rent again, they're just fine.
Yeah, then they make the commission and they get it rented out.
That's brilliant. Tell me, on the realty side of things, you guys are doing some work on that too, in terms of like you're selling properties and leasing them?
Yeah, so we have WhiteRock Realty, which is a separate company under WhiteRock Property Management. And it's a real estate agency, basically. So all of the properties that we manage, when we need to get it marketed and rented, or anything, it goes to WhiteRock Realty, and then WhiteRock Realty takes the commission.
Right.
So we do that, and we have a deal in our management fee where if your property is vacant, it's not the full commission, it's less because we're managing it, so we find you a tenant and everything like that, but we still work with agents. But it's a little difficult because agents don't like when they don't get full commission either, or when they have to share commission.
Yeah.
So by doing this, I'm thinking that they make the full commission. I don't want to make the rental commission. I just want the management contract and the management fee every month. So you take the commission and you still make a commission on the management fee.
Right.
But a lot of our internal properties, it makes sense having that company because we have a network now too where and we have a lot of tenants and foreign companies and embassies and different things like that. A network we established over the years. So a lot of the time we don't even we have people who just come to us and we put them in places. So then WhiteRock would take that commission.
Right.
And if we work with an agent, the agent gets commission.
Right.
And then we have properties too, developments that we're doing. And we now finished the St. George's. I don't know if you saw it. It's close to here, up on the hill, 40 apartments.
Serious?
Y'all did that on Mount Hope on the hill.
Right. Y'all did that on the WhiteRock?
So that was, it has some different investors.
Right.
Where WhiteRock is the management company. My father did the construction.
Right.
And the plan there is to sell out every apartment. We just did the launch 2 weeks ago, then did an open house last weekend.
How did that go?
And we have 2 model units that finished, so we're starting pre-sales, and then next year we're going to finish the development. It went good. People liked it. So the plan is to sell out there, then WhiteRock would still handle the management of the compound. If we end up with any units that didn't sell, then WhiteRock would manage those and rent it out.
Right.
But we have stuff like that, so all of that is done through WhiteRock, and all the pre-sales and everything would be done through WhiteRock Realty. So we have sales as well. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah, so it really is just handling every side of it, from even real estate sales and rentals to managing it, to managing the compound, to managing the units.
I don't know how you do all that.
It's hard. It's a lot of things that don't go right and need to get better, but it's not rocket. But what you're actually doing isn't rocket science. It's, you know what I mean? It's not too complicated. It's more just managing it efficiently.
Yeah, it's simple but hard.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's incredible.
So like even security, I'm not in security, but we subcontract security, but that's something you had plenty problems with, because companies just send whatever security to sit down there, and they don't know how to talk to people properly, and
so you
have to be on top of everything, and it's switching out a lot of those kind of stuff till you find the right fit on a property. Then when you end up with the right people, they would last forever, and but it's getting to those right people, you run into problems along the way. And I want to start doing a lot more marketing, especially for the short-term rentals, because that's easier in the sense that you could onboard a property quick. If you give me an apartment and it's furnished, if it's not furnished, to get furniture and have it ready could take a week.
That could be a good vertical.
Basically do up the checklist of when cleaners go in, what they need to do. We have all the products, we have the cleaning team in storage in the office, so it's basically just having it ready, taking pictures, doing the marketing, putting it on the website, putting it on Airbnb, and then it could be rented out. So like a week to 2 weeks max, we could have a place ready for short-term rentals.
That's brilliant.
And people don't realize, they have people who came to me 6 months ago and their place is empty, they can't get a long-term rental, they're trying to get 15,000 TT, they're not getting it, but they're skeptical about short-term rentals, they don't want anyone in their place, and even with management in general, they don't want to pay and they want to manage it themselves, then they end up coming back to me, and they were vacant for the last 6 months making no money, and they come, and what I tell them too is, if you decide to sell or you get a long-term, because right now the market is slow too with long-term rentals, and rent isn't what it used to be, so it's a good way to, even in the meantime, if your goal is you're at the one steady tenant long term, put it on, it could go up quick, put it on as a short-term rental, rent it out. If you get a long-term rental, then you just
So at least collect
get
something.
the long-term rental. And then a few people ended up doing that, and then they're happy with it because they're making more money than they thought they would have made. And we're not going to take a property guessing if it would do good. We have the data from softwares and the prices and everything. I could tell you what every hotel is renting for tonight, what their occupancy rate is. So I would put a location, do a 2-mile radius around that property, see all the properties on all the listing sites, what their occupancy rate is, how they did in the last year in terms of revenue. So then you could look at it and see, well, it's 4-star, 5-star, whatever it is, and then you could get a good estimate on what it's going to make. So I'm telling people too before, says most you're going to be in this range, and most of the time it's true because the data is the data. On something like Carnival, for example, properties that rent out for $200 US a night, and we have, and Carnival is renting out for $1,700 US a night. So in our weekend Carnival, so we had properties that do an average of $3,000 a month US, and in Carnival in February or the week of Carnival or the 2 weeks, they're making 10,000-15,000 US. So even when you're vacant for a few months of the year in slow season, it averages out, and you make a lot more than what a long-term rental would be.
That's incredible.
And it's a lot more profitable, and I enjoy it too, even though it's harder because you're dealing with more people. I enjoy being in that business, and that's something that I want to grow, and it's more straightforward. You have your maintenance man, you have your cleaning team, and you have your person dealing with bookings and communication. And when you cap out on a certain amount of properties, you just do the same thing for these 10, have a team for these 10, and every team has their portfolio. Then you have a senior manager for all of them. And
So I want to ask you, because you're big into that space, right? I was talking to my granny about this the other day, and she has a property in Barbados. She doesn't live in it now because it's larger, and she can't live in it, just by herself, right? With my grandfather, of course. So they're in an apartment now, and they have the house they rented out long term. But Barbados, like Trinidad, they're not getting a lot of long-term rentals, right? So I keep telling her, like, Granny, try short-term rentals. But like you say, she's skeptical, right? A lot of people, especially in the Caribbean, are skeptical of trying these short-term rentals. Like,
they just worry about it. I mean, well, that's why I would say go with a company who knows what they're doing. We're vetting every tenant. So some people we tell no to. We're maintaining the place properly when we go in after our guest leaves. If they damage anything or anything happen, we take it out of a security deposit. So things do happen, but at the end of the day, it's either you want it to be investment or you want it to be a home and collect no money. It's either asset or liability. So a lot of people have that, especially in Trinidad, they have that feeling of, this is my property, I don't want anyone in it, I want a long-term renter, I want to make sure I like the person and this and that, but then to you, it's just, you don't want to make money on it. If you want to make money on it and you hire a company too, there's no downside. If anything breaks, the guest pays for it. Even on Airbnb, you have a $1 million US
they cover
insurance policy, so technically up to $1 million they cover. The other day, someone damaged a couch and we got 1,000 US back from Airbnb in 5 minutes. But we submit all the correct documentation, we understand it properly. Like I said, we vet the tenants, we have a security deposit, we have a professional cleaning team. So it takes away all the hassle from you, and every month you get your report. Your financial reports, you see your bookings, you see how much you made, you see if anything was deducted, we pay your bills, electricity, Wi-Fi, whatever it is. If we have any recommendations, we say, we recommend you get a new bed in this room, that one is old, it'll up the value of the property, this is what we recommend. If you approve it, we just take it out of the payout that month from you. We keep it, we buy the bed and we put it in. And
serious, you'll handle a full scope and like don't identify
everything. I have a friend who saw I was doing it, then said, okay, well, we have 2 apartments in Trinidad, Airbnb is easy, I'll do it myself, whatever.
Right.
For a few months, I sent him a proposal. Everything said, well, I don't want to pay that fee. Can't be that hard. It's just I'll sign up for Airbnb. I'll take pictures. They took
Right.
pictures. It wasn't that good. They still got plenty bookings because it was good apartments and a good location. But then after a few months, he came to me and he said, I can't do this anymore. Take it over.
Right.
He's dealing with every guest, and people don't realize it's a lot of communication and you can do it on the side, and a lot of people do it and they enjoy it, and you have one property there, you go, you let in the guests. All of ours is self-check-in, so every time a booking's made, a new code is generated
Right.
one day before their arrival. So they get that code, they reach, they go into the property, they get their keys, they get all the instructions, they're there. They don't even see us. If they need someone, we have a 24-hour guest support person. He goes, deals with anything. We answer them. Our response rate on Airbnb is instant. We answer instantly. We have someone dealing with it 24 hours. So all those things. And you as the owner, you just...
It's a hands-off approach.
Yeah, on a property in Trinidad, for the same thing I told you. For a while, you was thinking, well, I want a long-term rental. Then he said, all right, just do it for now. And for the last year, we're doing it. And what he was asking, and he still has agents showing it.
Right.
Because him and his wife still have that idea where maybe if we could save or we want a long-term tenant.
Right.
And what he's asking for the property is half of what he's making now on Airbnb.
Serious. But you still, like, you cover it on the Airbnb, and then, like, if they want to just sort of let it go, they can do that at that point.
Yeah, if they want, at some point.
Yeah.
But a lot of places too don't like, a lot of upper scale places, the people living there don't like a owner doing short-term rentals because they think it's unsafe and anyone is coming in here.
Like
and
who's coming into their property in a sense. Right.
But so far, we get complaints about people not liking it, but we don't get complaints about actual issues happening.
Right. So, it's
So
just
we
the
met
perception.
with a board the other day to hear their concerns and everything, and I said, well, could you all say one example of anything that they go by the pool or they were loud or they threw a party? They didn't have anything to say besides, well, we don't like it and we don't like anyone coming in here.
Right. So it's the perception. It's not actually what's happening in a sense.
And then what a lot of new developments now are doing is they're putting into the sales agreement that you can't do short-term rentals for less than 6 months or a year or whatever. But everything that you see now that was older, short-term rentals wasn't a thing 10 years ago. So most places in Trinidad don't have that. They don't have the actual rules. So they can't, even though they don't like it, they can't stop the owner from doing it.
Right.
And we don't want to go into a place and make anyone unhappy and say, we're going to do what we want and whatever. We hear them out and we say, okay, these are all the rules, this is what you want, and we follow them. And so far, we don't get any problems because, like I said too, it's more expensive places that you're getting families, you're getting people who could afford it. It's not 18-year-olds coming to throw a party.
Right. Yeah,
You have to pay with a credit card, so not everyone has a credit card.
Right. So it's not just...
You have to pay in US, and so...
So there's a lot of sort of...
Yeah, we kind of stop that.
Right. You kind of put the barriers in place in a sense. You kind of maintain that high level of quality in the tenants.
Yeah, we take their IDs, we take the security deposit, so people don't want to lose money either.
Yeah.
We have smoking clauses in the contracts. If you smoke, it's $1,000 US fine.
Right.
So no one wants to pay that, and we could take it too if you break the rules.
Yeah,
So.
oh, for sure. Tell me about the short term. Not short term. The self-storage. I heard you're doing a lot of work in the self-storage space.
That's something we're trying to expand. We have a location that we're going to do a new one. We have one facility now in Diego Martin, complete storage solutions, all self-storage units, all different sizes. And we have another location that we're going to do a next one. But that's our business we want to expand. And then we also started the moving division of that, which is just any type of moving.
Right.
Because we realized a lot of people were calling who wanted to rent a storage space, and they were saying, do you all do moving?
Right.
I realized the manager, I had the idea, and then we had a meeting, and the manager told me, I said, we should look into it, and I think it could do, and he said, for a few years now, I have a stack of cards on my desk of moving companies.
Right.
So I just send people to moving companies. And I said, well, you never came with the idea. He said at least once a day people call if we do moving. So he has a list of all the companies and sends them there. So since we started that last year, that's going good. And it's a lot of business from our clients and people who want storage. We offer the moving, and we're now kind of getting out there and just getting moving jobs. And
that's incredible.
And then we also do record storage, which for companies, because by law you have to keep 7 years of hard copy files for your company.
Yeah, that's a lot of documents.
And it's a good business because you're just storing people's files. And every 7 years you need the other 7 years, so you always need to store 7 years, so it never ends.
Right.
And people don't, and we put everything onto a software, so you and your company now on your desk, instead of saying, okay, well, I'm going downstairs to the filing room, I need to search for a file. It's all online on your account. So if you have access to certain files in your company, you could pull it up and it's all digital. So every file we get, we scan, it's in a secure compound storage with facility, fireproof, everything. So it's all electronic for your company, and we come and pick up your files, or if you request hard copy files, we drive it to you.
That's incredible.
And that's a different facility from the self-storage.
So everything you're doing is just the full service scope in a sense.
Yeah, well, because we get into something, then realize you have other parts of it that are needed, and if it makes sense, we try to do it.
That's brilliant.
But you have to be careful with that too, because you don't want to try and do everything, and you have to know when to turn people away and say, we don't want to get into that, we're just focusing on this.
No, it really has to make sense.
Yeah.
In business-wise, you only have so much time again. So that's incredible. So I guess we could sort of wrap up there. Is there anything you want to say final to the camera? Anything you're pushing big? I know you mentioned the marketing services. You mentioned the short-term rental, the property management. Anything else you want to say to the camera in the sense of something you want to push?
So, well, just WhiteRock in general. Short-term rentals, anything. If anyone has a property, they could reach out to us, get a free consultation, talk about your property. Even if nothing works out, we'll tell you what we think. We'll do a custom proposal for your property to maximize your income, walk you through it, and really any property we would do it for. And if it's a fit, it's a fit for the owner and us, and if it's not, it's not.
Right. That's fantastic. So, WhiteRock Property Management, for any of your property management needs, this is your guy.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that's about it. George, thank you so much for coming on. To be honest, today, this is one of my favorite conversations. This was incredible. So thank you so much
for having me.
Yeah, and I hope to do it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope to do it again.
Yeah,
we'll give it a little time.
Day,
but next thing you're doing big, we'll come back and run it back.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks a lot, George. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Luke.